Hello world, and welcome to a brand new Unity 3D tutorial. So in this tutorial we're going to be making a Space Invaders minigame. You will have noticed it's an hour long, maybe more, I'm not 100% sure yet. But this contains absolutely everything, one tutorial smack there, really simple, it's just a long process. So anyone who's new, who's not looked at my tutorials before, I'm going to try and make this whole bit here for the majority of the Space Invaders game nothing to do with the rest of my game. I've imported the models and everything, the sounds. I'll give you links to everything, everything else you won't need in order to make your game. So first thing we're going to do is literally make the Space Invaders game. That simple. So I'm going to open up a brand new scene like so. So we've got a brand new one, and I'm going to go game object, create other, plane. And this is just going to be the backboard for our plane pretty much. So it's not all black. Well, it is all black, but it's going to be spacey patterned. Whereas on the camera, if you set it to black, it might mess with your graphics, so you don't need it. So we'll call this background, and we're going to set it to 0, 0, 0, like so. So if we look at our background now, double click in, you have your camera. So if we rotate it upwards, you should be able to see nothing but the plane, like so. So we'll just turn it to -90. And we're going to texture it with something what's black, hopefully, so it looks starry. What do we have? Starry night. What's that one look like? It's good, but it's a skybox. I don't really want a skybox because it's got multiple ones and it won't look as good. So maybe if we go and just get a random black one, maybe that'll help. Because I didn't actually prepare a space texture. I know it's silly, but hey, we don't need it. Actually, I might be sticking with the starry night. Top beak. I'll stick with the starry night. Yep. So that's our background for it. But what I'm going to do is actually play with it so it's in range and everything. So I'm going to drag my game panel down and I'm going to drag it all the way across, just so I can see the border edges to know that's the size we're looking at. Luckily I have a big monitor, I can see all. So I'm going to drag it up and I'm just literally going to play with the scales for a little bit. And it should automatically scale the texture for you so you won't see nothing too bad. That's it. So if we were to full screen it, it'd work fine. If you change it to free aspect, it does mess up, but I'm going to keep it as standalone, so make it to your size. So I'm going to call this background, it's already been done. So what I'm going to do is add an audio source to this first thing. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So audio source. Spelled it wrong. There we are. And this is going to be play on awake, we want it to. And if we go to my sounds folder, which you might not all have, but I have, and I've got 3 Shurik sounds. Shurak. I apologise if I'm saying that wrong if you're watching this, that'd be so cool if you are, but still. And he's made some Space Invaders styled music, background music. So if we just listen to one, I apologise if this is loud. And it's stuff like that easy for our game. Yeah, so they're the songs I want to play our game. So that they were found on this website here, Free Music Archive here. And as you can see, he has a load of them. I only downloaded the first 3, but they are free to download, so just click the little download arrow down there. Links in the description for that website. I do have another tab open if you can see. I'll get into what that is later. But yeah, so there's all the things if you want to download them. So all I'm going to do first, the first ever thing, is drag Shurik 1 onto there. And that's it. It will say this is 3D sound, and that's not what we want. 3D sound makes it so if our camera's over here, it'll sound like it's coming from a long distance over there. But since Space Invaders was always 2D arcade machine style, I'm going to actually set it to 2D sound. So simply click it in your project and click 3D sound, apply. So it'll do it. I'm going to do that for the other 2, so to save time because it's pointless it being in there. So I'll do it to the other 2 and I'll be back in a minute. So it just finished converting and I didn't actually set the other 2 to 3D sound. And you might be wondering why not, and it's because in order to play multiple sounds, there are many ways you can do it. 2 spring to mind. You can script it so when one finishes it plays the next, then plays the next, or randomizers. But I don't want that. It's a pointless script for now. But what we're actually going to do is merge them all into one, so it plays one after other, no matter what. And it's really simple to do. So what you want to do is go and download Audacity. It's free, Mac, Linux, Windows, so I'm going to open that now. And this is a really cool program. I want to say it's not advanced compared to the others out there, but you can do some pretty sweet effects for a free program. So right click your sounds and click Show in Explorer if you've downloaded them. If you've only downloaded one, you can skip this bit. So what I'm going to do is simply drag Shurak 1 into it, and it'll open it just like that. Then after that's completed, I'm going to drag number 2 in. Just right under it. Don't worry about moving it yet, I'll teach you that after. It's a really simple program to learn. So once that's done, we drag final one in, and that should import all 3. So now that all 3 of them have been imported, what we're going to do is at the top here we have this 6 toolbars. A little eye symbol, which you know is a cursor, an envelope tool, which I don't need to explain, but that's for editing every single tiny node when you zoom in. You have a pencil, which is for drawing nodes, a zoom in for zooming in, zooming out, stuff like that. And then you have your little movie tool, your 2 arrows. So as you can see, I moved in too much. So I'm using control and then the scroll wheel to move, but yeah. So you want to get into a good distance so you can see most of them, just like that. And what I'm going to do is simply click the second one, so not the 2 bars, because this is left ear, right ear, left ear, right ear. I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it is left ear, right ear, or right ear, left ear, stuff like that. So it's 2 channels because it's stereo, which means 2 channels. If you got mono, it'd be 1 channel. So what I'm going to do is click my little move tool, time shift tool right there, and just click the second one or the third one, and then drag it all the way across, and you'll see it begins moving. Pretty much stick it on the end until it snaps. Then do the same for the third one, but on the end of the second one. So what you're doing when you export it is it'll play the first one, it'll get to the end, cut down a bit, but then it'll come straight back into the next one, and it'll keep playing. So you could add some effects to it so it fades in, which I'll show you one little one. So if we go to the cursor tool, selection tool, and just select the first bit of this one, just like that, and I'm going to go effect, and then you want to look for fade in there, and then it'll simply fade it in so it doesn't start boof and then carry on, it goes boof and then carries on, so it fades in nicely. And then I'm going to do the same for this one here so it doesn't just break straight in. Boom. So make sure you haven't selected anything, and then you can test it by clicking places and then just click play button and it'll play, as you can see. But I'm not going to do anything. Click off so you've got nothing selected. Then I'm going to go file and I'm going to go to export. Now if you want to export as an MP3, you will need to go and get an add-on pack for it. It's 100% free. lame_enc, LAME_ENC. You'll need that, but all I'm going to do is type in Shurak 01203, and I'm going to save it as a WAV because it's free, and I'm going to grab my URL of this and paste it in there. Okay, of course it got rid of it because it always does, there, and I'll save it. So now we've got all 3. It's saying your tracks will be mixed down to 2, so there's 2 of these, they're not kept as separate. Click OK, you're not going to be editing it. You could get rid of all the things here if you want, but he made it, I'm going to keep these credits into it. So it'll export it and I'll come back once it's done. So now that's done, I can cross Audacity off, don't want to save it anymore, and you'll see we now have a number 1 and then 3 more. I'm going to delete our little 3 because we don't need them, and I'm going to go back and you'll see it'll load it, re-import it because Unity imports straight away. It'll get rid of our 3 and stick the 1 in there, the really long one. So it should be around 9 minutes long, so 10 minutes. I doubt people will spend 10 minutes on an arcade machine. We'll try to make it so you can beat it in 3 minutes. Hey. So what I'm going to do is click our background and stick the Shurak one on there. So 3D sound, we need to stick it back again, and then I'll be back in a minute. So now that that's done, if we simply click play, you should hear that music playing, hopefully not too loud. If it is too loud, you have to change it. Simple. So it'll load, and we will eventually do a main menu, but not for now. So as you can see, that is a bit loud, because don't forget you'll be hearing buzz, buzz, and and all that stuff. So I'm going to go to background, and all I'm going to do is turn the volume down. So So 0.7 seems to be my nice one, so that's what I want it to be. So I'm going to put it in. We're not going to go into the advanced, changing your volume, changing this, that. We're simply going to make it so you click play, it takes you on. Well, you've got play or quit because we need it for an arcade machine for our tutorial series. But you click play, it goes on, you see your Space Invaders move left to right. The one we're doing right now is the Space Invaders one, then we do the main menu after. It's simple. So what I'm going to do first is save this scene. So when it loads, because we need to save it, otherwise if Unity glitches we'd lose a lot of progress. So I'm going to go to levels here, and I'm going to create a new one called Space Invaders. I'm going to go in and I'm going to call this main game. Just like that. Simply done. So now if you go to your models folder, if you downloaded what I provided, then you can go into characters and there's a folder called Space Invaders and you should have 4 in there. Alien 1, 2, 3 and ship. So we've got Alien 1 here, which is the first alien. It's 3D because we're making a 3D game. But yeah, so you don't have to use it if you want, you can create your own, you can use 2D sprites, it's up to you. There's the second one, you can't move that one, let's get that one. And 2D, and you can also get the third one. There. Which is the third one. So they are all different, and then you get the ship, which is, of course, your main ship. There isn't any houses yet, so I may have to put them in another tutorial because I haven't done them ones yet. But hey. So we've got all them, and if you saw on the aliens, they actually have damage cracks, so when you shoot them once, you can just put a damage on, and then when you shoot them again, it dies, because some of them take more than once, if you want it like that. But I don't think I'm going to use that. So the first thing we're going to do is make our ship actually work. It's that simple. So we're going to click our ship and drag it out. And I want it pretty much near the plane, probably going through it even, because the ships don't come forward towards the camera. So if we just drag this here, you never want the ships going towards the camera like that. They just move simply left or right. That's it. And as you can see, that's pretty much the perfect size right here. So put it off and you can see, let's drag it up a bit so we can see. And right here, it needs to be lower to the floor, so roughly about there. So we can keep going for quite a while. So the camera, we need to stop around about there and then carry on going. So this we can call, which side is it? That side. Oh well, it seems to be working, but hey. So we'll call this one player. That's simple. And I'm going to add a character controller to it, and this, for the new people, allows you to have input controls over it, so when you move and everything. I'm going to remove the animator because there's no animation on it, and we're going to keep the rest because we need them. So the character controller, let's make sure it's all in good shape and everything. So as you can see, it covers most of the character and a little bit at the bottom. It's all good. So I'm going to drag the scene back over, and now what we need to do is actually put a script on it to make it move. So all it is if you press left, it goes left. Press right, it goes right. We're not putting boundaries on it yet. We will shortly. So I'm going to go to our scripts folder and hide all of these. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm going to create a new folder in scripts called Space Invaders again. Space Invaders. But I'm going to put an underscore in it. The reason you put underscores is it stops string errors sometimes. So if you right click, create JavaScript. If you want C#, this should be a lot same, very, very similar. So yeah, I think I said that wrong. I can never say that word. I always struggle with that one. But here, I'm going to put ship movement. So the reason I'm calling it ship movement and not just movement is because in my previous tutorials I haven't got that, so I'm going to call it ship movement. You can call it in fact I'm going to call it SI movement for Space Invaders, because it makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to click our character, when I can actually grab him, player, and I'm going to drag SI movement on him. It has not finished it. If it says that, simply just wait for Unity to tick over it and just say, right, yeah, you can stick it on. There. So let's open it. So the first thing we're going to do in order to begin moving our character to left to right is actually create a variable up the top, and we're just going to call it private var, which creates a variable, sets it private, and we're going to call it move. In fact, we'll just call it movement, and this will be a vector 3, which is XYZ. We've covered that before. If you're not, just don't worry about it for now. And we're going to set it to vector 3.0, And what that'll set it to is basically 0, 0, 0. So XYZ position 0, 0, 0. That's all it does. So I'm going to get rid of function start here and just open this bit up here. The next thing I'm going to do is actually find a way to grab hold of the character's controller here, because we will be using that to actually move the character, so you add forces to it and stuff like that. So it's really, really simple to do again. So what we're going to type above here is again private var controller, and it'll be a character controller. There we are, I always spell it wrong. And then we're going to put our function start back in. I shouldn't have got rid of that. And just in here we're simply going to type controller equals get component. Now I understand in C# you will put your less than brackets to and put what in, but in JavaScript you put a bracket and we will put character controller. And that'll assign it to that variable. So now in function update we can easily go and get that variable really, really quickly. So in here the first thing we're going to do is need to detect when the player actually presses the left arrow key or the AD keys. And it's really simple, but we're not actually going to use if input blah 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 blah. But what instead we're going to do is set movement equal to vector 3, because it's got to be a vector 3 else you can't do it. And then inside we'll put 0 for the x-axis, which I believe on ours will be forward and backward. I'm not 100% sure. We might have to fiddle around with this bit. But here, on the second one after you put a comma, we'll put input dot get axis, and that'll be the like a weighing scale thing. So you got horizontal axis, vertical axis, and we want the horizontal axis, which is left and right. Then we're simply gonna put 0 and end it. So now we've ended movement. What we need to do now is make it so when we press this, when we put input that get horizontal, we're not moving it thousands and thousands of pixels out. It's only going to move it ever so slightly. So how we do this is we type movement equals transform direction, which we've covered before, and then movement. So it'll basically just set movement to transform direction of movement, so it sets itself really. And then for the next couple of lines is we're going to actually move our controller. Really simply done again. We type controller, so we go and get our variable this time, and we put dot move capital M, which basically says start moving. And we're going to put how we want to move it, which is on our left and right horizontal. And then we'll put times time dot delta time, which will make it smooth moving. So just looking at it now, I forgot my T right there. So capital T on transform direction, and that should be the basics of moving it left to right, and it should stop. Well, it won't stop, but it should move. We haven't put the gravity line in if you're used to the movement script we used to use, simply because we don't want gravity on it. It's that simple. So we click play, and hopefully when we press the arrow keys, oh, you can see we put it in the wrong way. So when you press left or right or A and D, it goes up and down. So my suspicion is we grab it and we put it at the front, like so. So when you press it on the X and Y axis, it moves left or right, hopefully. So if you want an up and down one, I don't know if you would, like Galactica style, so you shoot ships, press your up and down keys, change it to vertical. So there we are. So we're moving very, very, very slowly. So we need to speed it up. So as you can see, it's just moving. So we've got the tiny basics of it, and you can hear the music kicking in too. So in order to speed it up, all we're going to do is, what we're actually going to do is change movement. So right here, we're going to put movement equal, we're going to actually put times equal. So we times the movement by our speed. So at the moment, imagine it was moving 1 pixel every frame. So 1, 1, 1, 1. What about if we times it by 2 then? It'll double its speed. 4, quadruple its speed. So we're just going to put 4. That's our speed basically, and hopefully it works. So let's go and try it. So we click it and we click play, and then when we press left or right or A and D, it moves really fast or really slow. Hopefully not too fast. But after this, we're gonna, if it works, we're gonna put our borders on. So as you can see, it slowly gains speed, and I don't know, I want it faster. So we'll change it to 8. and then that should hopefully be right. So we're going to stick our borders on really quickly. So I'm going to drag our game down so we can see the edges, because you don't want to see your border edges. But if you do, you can obviously put them on, but like in the old-fashioned Space Invaders game, you never saw the borders. So I'm going to double click it so we get normal view, and I'm going to go Game Object, Create Other, Box, or Cube. And all I'm going to simply do is stretch it up. I know you can see it for now, but don't worry about it. So I'm going to stretch it to actually cover our entire game, like so. So you can see our game there, and I'm just going to position it because don't forget the enemies are going to be up here too. So I'm going to drag it across until you can't see it. So obviously I can't see it now, but if I keep dragging, you'll not be able to see it at all, look. So if we put it just so it kicks off a little bit of it, we can put this one as left cube. In fact, left bar, down, left wall, that'll do. And I'm going to duplicate it, Control/Command D, change it to right wall, and move it all the way to the right. So just so it cuts off a little bit of it, there. And what I'm also going to do, so now that we've got them, my character can't bump past them, is I'm actually going to add a light source to it so it looks lighter. So I'm going to go Game Object, Create Other, and I'm simply going to put a directional light on. So if we look at play now, there you go, it looks a lot brighter. And you can actually tell it's 3D now, which is quite cool. If you don't want it 3D, simply set your camera to orthographic view and it should get rid of it. But as you can see now, we move across much better. And we go straight through, which is not good. So are we still going straight through? As you can see, yes we are. But the reason we are is because it's not even touching it, as you can see. So we need to spread it out. So left wall, right wall. All I'm going to do is come in with the scale tools and beef you up. That's it, so it looks a bit like a TIE fighter. This has got some, the reason you can see through it is because of the skybox, but don't worry too much about it. You could even stretch it up if you liked, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to get a background and stick right wall, left wall and directional light inside it, just to clean it up a little bit. So we click play and you'll see, we go to hit it and we get nothing. Perfect. So obviously we're going to have to hide the walls, because you don't want to see the walls. So I'm going to go in, right wall, left wall, and untick Mesh Renderer. Just like that. Perfect. So now all you can see is space. And it needs to push us in more. We need to pretty much stop round about there, don't we? So you're not hitting it. So what I'm going to do is grab this wall over the left one and go into my front view. And I'm going to pretty much move it to where it should be. So if I move it on this axis, we're moving the x-axis pretty much there. So it's pushing it a bit, and we're going to copy that, unplay, and paste it back in. So now we know where it is. And I'm going to move this wall back a little bit too, and hopefully it should be right, but we never know. So we go in, and you can see I'm still off the screen, but we come over here, and this should stop me right there. So we can come in a bit more, move this in a bit more, and don't forget when we hide it, you won't see it. Ooh, so close. So roughly about there is where we want it. So move it in a little bit. Perfect. So now we've got boundaries. We can't get away. We can't go up, down or anything. All we've got is space. Easy enough. So I'm going to quit that. And I should have remembered the damn. But yeah, so we'll put it there and hopefully that's right. And move the minus. There we are. Hopefully that's right. So I'm going to drag our player out so it's not touching it, otherwise it will cause an error. And all I'm going to do is hide the mesh renderer during it now. So when we do click play, hopefully it works perfect. There we go. So it's 7 each way. So let's fire. So in order to make it fire, all we're going to use is a simple, I believe it was white dot. Well, not dot, box. So I'm going to go cube, and I'm simply going to set it to 0, 0, 0, just so it's in middle. And I'm going to play with the scale for a little bit, but I'm going to drag it down here so we can compare. So make sure it's like near the character on top pretty much, otherwise you get a glitch there. And it's going to be roughly the same size as the character, like scale wise. Scale it down a little bit, that'll do. So it's white textured, but let's go and find a white texture anyway, just in case. So we can find, I'll just make a new one, it's easier. So I'm going to go textures, and I'm simply going to make a Space Invaders folder. Space Invaders, Yep. And I'm going to right click, create new material, and I'm going to call this bullet. And I'm simply going to tint it white. That's it, and then assign it to it. That's it. Call this bullet, and then I'll take it into prefabs or resources, whereas ours is prefabs, and I'll stick it on. Right click, new, create folder, Space Invaders. I know we've got to create a lot of Space Invaders folders, but it does work. And I'm just going to simply stick it in there. So we've got bullet. So what does bullet need? It needs a box collider, but I'm going to make it a trigger. The reason it's going to be a trigger so it can go through things, and it's got more chance of like recording the hit. But what I'm also going to do is add a rigid body to it. So I'm going to turn gravity off so it doesn't fall down, because I want it to fall straight up. That's all I want. And so we've got that. Bullet. Bullet, 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 bullet. So all we've got to do is make it spawn. That's it. Make it spawn on top of the character and fire up. That's it. Really, really simple. So what I'm going to do is go back to our space movement here, because we don't really need anything. We don't really need another script to fire once. So below all this, I'm simply going to type if input.get key up, and it'll be space. So if it's space, so basically if space is pressed up, then well we want to play the sound, so we need a bullet sound. And yes, before you ask, I have got one. So if we go to sound files and go space, I believe it's space, maybe not. So Space Invaders, there we are, and we'll find we've got ship fire. Of course we need that on. We've got to have it on. So what I'm going to do is set a new audio source on the main camera. Audio source. In fact, I'll set it to character player. Put it on the player. So audio source there. And what I'm going to do is set this ship fire to 2D sound. So like we did. And all I'm going to do is in the movement is type var space. In fact, player. I just put fire. And it'll be an audio clip. So when we press space up, we want audio.play one shot fire. So every time we click it, it should go pew pew. Hopefully. So what I'm going to do is assign it to the character, and then we're just going to test if that one little bit works. So space fire. There. Play on awake. We don't want it to play anything. So every time we press it, we should hear pew pew. Hopefully. So it doesn't understand what space is. So obviously I think it's a lowercase. If you want to change your keys on that, go ahead, you can change it to whatever you like. I'm simply using space because that's what most online games use for Space Invaders. So wait till it loads, then we press space and it should go bidoo. So we've got to obviously time it, so you've got to wait till your bullet's destroyed to do it. So we've got the basics of it going. So, we need a spawn point. So, where do we spawn an object pretty much? We need a spawn point. I'm just going to use the player really, because it's the easiest way. So let's go and spawn our bullet. So right here, I'm going to type var spawn bullet, and it'll be equal to instantiate, which means spawn if you don't know, basically. And we're going to type bullet, which we need to create up here. So var bullet will be a game object. And then where we're going to spawn it, transform.position, which means whatever object this script's attached to, so the character, so spawn it directly from where the character is. Easy enough. And then all we're going to do is add position, so we're going to type quaternion.identity, which keeps it at the rotation in which is saved in the prefab. So in the prefab for bullet, if we find it again hopefully, we have saved it 000, so it should be pointing straight up, hopefully. So we've got bullet there, it's all assigned. Let's add some force to it to push it. So I'm going to type here spawn bullet dot rigid body dot add force, and usually we type here transform.forward, which pushes it forward. We don't want it to go forward, we want it to go up. So we're going to type vector 3.up. I think that might have a capital U. I think it's like that. No, it's lowercase. I think, yeah. And then we're going to put times, then our speed of it. So I'm just going to put 50. Let's see if that works. So that should instantly spawn it, then spawn it upwards. hopefully. We will need to put some colliders on it after, so when it gets so far up it destroys itself. Otherwise it won't work right, will it? So I'm going to go player again and drag bullet on so he's holding the bullet. So when we press it should go boof. Perfect. But we can do this. And at the moment, nothing will get past you, ever. So we need to change it. And they'll go on forever and ever and ever. They won't stop at all. So let's make it faster and better. So 500. Now let's set a boundary for them to actually hit, so when they do hit them, they die. So let's see. Where's our left wall? Our right wall then. I'm going to duplicate it. Turn it on so we can actually see what we're looking at. And I'm going to turn the other two on as well so I can judge. And right here I'm going to type top wall. We will need this for it is basically just for the bullets. So I'm going to grab it and rotate it 0. And that did absolutely nothing. So let's rotate it that way. So 90. And all I'm going to do is stick it right up here. We need it off the screen again. So, oh, that's pretty much alright. So let's just have a look though. So I'm going to drag it out. And we need it off the screen, so I'm going to grab it, because if it's not off the screen then it'll look weird. So there. So it'll come up, and when it's off the screen it should destroy the bullet, so it looks like it's going on forever, but it's really not. It's saving processing power. So if it is top wall, then we need to kill it. So how do we do that? Well, that's really simple. So what we're going to do is go to our scripts folder again, and in our Space Invaders I'm going to right click, create JavaScript SI bullet colliders, yeah. And I'm going to literally attach that to our bullet there. Obviously you can attach this to multiple ones, but at first I'm going to stick it just on the bullet. And we're going to basically say if it hits anything, destroy it. But anything except the character, we've got to make sure for that. So I'm going to delete function start, and in function update I'm going to rename it to on trigger enter. So we set the bullet to a trigger, so basically when a trigger enters anything else, so if it hits something or something goes through it, then call it. So I'm going to type call collider. So what that'll do is set a parameter, call, which is a variable, and it is a collider type, so anytime a collider's hit, it calls call, so we can get call. So on trigger enter, so as soon as it enters something, if call.gameObject.name does not equal, so logic gates, exclamation mark equals, this should all be the exact same for C# except the function and the way around of that, but yeah. So, and here is where we put the name of our character. So if it doesn't equal character, did we call it character or player? I forgot. I always change my mind. In the Lost Maps game, which is a game I'm making, if none of you know, it's like, I call it player, but yeah. So if call.gameObject.player, then destroy it. So destroy game, in fact destroy game object. So what that'll do is if you put call.gameObject, it'll destroy whatever it hits, which yes, we want it to do to the enemies, but not yet. So if call.gameObject equals player, then destroy the bullet. Then we can put an else if call.gameObject.name equals enemy. And this is where we put two equals, so if it does equal enemy, then destroy GameObject and destroy call.gameObject. Done. So now that we've done that, it'll come down every time the bullet hits something. If it hits something what's not called the player, it'll destroy it. Otherwise, if it equals something called enemy, it'll destroy the bullet and the collider. But we've got a small error here. If it comes down and says, if it hits something not called the player, it'll destroy it. Enemy is not called the player, so then it'll just never call the enemy. So what we're going to do instead is cut this thing and put it above it. So if it equals enemy, then destroy it. Else, if it doesn't equal anything, then just kill it. Because if we just left it to else and didn't put this player bit on, then even when we spawn it and it hits the player at the first, it'll just carry on. I mean, it won't carry on, it'll just destroy. So let's try it, and hopefully when we press it, it should go up and destroy. And you can actually see this by looking in the hierarchy here. So you'll see when we press it, a bullet will spawn. And then it'll Destroy. Look at that, every single one being destroyed. And if you want to look at it from another view, go up, as it hits it, it goes, bam, gone. Perfect. So that's that bit done. So let's add an enemy. So I've got a picture of the actual Space Invaders gameplay, so we can have a look at actually what we're doing. So for the enemies, we can see, I'm going to change the colour of the player's bullet as well. It's green, I must have got mixed up. But we need the ones with the dodgy bottom legs. I've only done 3 of these. So we're going to have to miss out that line or replace it with one, but still. So the ones with the dodgy legs go first, and there's 11 across. So first let's change the colour of the bullet. So material here. That one. I'm going to tick off cast shadows and receive shadows, because we don't really need shadows on it. And it'll be green. There. Perfect. So now I've got a green bullet. I'm going to actually find our models folder, which is here. And I'm going to get one of the aliens, and I'm going to find which alien it is, because I haven't got a clue. So that one is the one which is the top one, I believe. Yeah, that's the top one. Then this one is the second one. And here's the third one with the dodgy legs. So I'm going to drag this out. And we need it to be 11 across, if you remember. So at the current size, I can safely say I don't think it's going to work. Because if you look at this one here, you need lots of gaps. So we may need to resize our player and that. Yes, I think we will. So I'll grab the player, and I'll literally just change it to 0.8, 0.8, 0.8. But before I carry on doing it to make sure it's right, I'm actually going to change the size of the alien to 0.6, 0.6, 0.6. So it's small, and then what I'm going to do is call it alien 1, yeah. I'm just going to drag it across. In fact, I'm going to press Control D, drag it across. Control D, drag it across. And I'm just going to repeat that until I have 11, so I'll be back in a minute. So it took a little bit of figuring out, but it didn't take too much. I scaled them down to 0.4, so if using my exact models and sizes, that's 1.6 by 1 by 1.19 if you wanted my sizes. Everything else is just default size. The character, I haven't resized yet, but the aliens are 0.4, and they seem to work really, really well. So there's 11 of them, and they pretty much fit near perfect. So there's enough room, so if I were to grab the game, put it one side, you can see if I were to move them sideways, so you've got lots of room, so it's really, really, really easy. So what I'm going to do is duplicate that entire row. But first I'm going to go game object create empty to create an empty game object. And I'm going to set it to 0000, so it's in middle. And all I'm going to do is put all these aliens inside it. And I'm going to call this one row _1. Yeah. I'm going to duplicate it and move it up by 10. So obviously 10's a bit much, so we'll try 1 then, yeah. I forgot to tell you, when they're not in a parent, they are equally spaced by 1. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah blah blah. It's equally spaced by 1. So we have row 1, and now we have row 2, which is the kind of same but different, yeah. So now what we need is the next aliens. So if we go back to the screenshot, you can see it's the classic Space Invaders ones. I don't know why, but I just think this third line one is just a more popular Space Invader known, really. But yeah, so we need the third dodgy alien, or the second one then, here. So I'm going to drag it out, and as you can see, oh dear. You can see it needs to be 1.84, that's it, 0.4, 0.4, 0.4. Oh dear. There we are. So I'm going to position it at pretty much the exact position as the other ones. So I'm going to duplicate this one and drag it out, and I'm going to literally swap the things over, like so. And the reason I'm doing this is because then we can pretty much just move it with numbers. So I'm going to set it to -7. So -7 is a bit much. Try -6. 5. Yeah, that'll do. 5. So I'm going to put it up by 2. And a little bit. So I just try and position it basically. That'll do. So there's our alien. I'm going to make it a tiny bit bigger. I don't know why, I just think it should be bigger. Like so. As you can see, we've still got lots of room, but just making it bigger looks a bit better. So I'm going to duplicate this one, and I'm going to set it to -3. Duplicate it again, -2. And that's all I did last time, -1. So I'm going to go along and do them, and then once I've done them, I will also come back and do another row of them, so I'll just duplicate it the same, and then I'll do the third line. So then we've got all of them done, and because that takes ages. So I'm going to pause the video now, and I'll do it, and I'll come right back. It'll be instantaneously for you, but pause the video now if you're going to do it yourself. So I've positioned every single alien, I've put them all into rows. So if we were to select every single row, we could successfully say, well, do beep, 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 beep. So that's what we've got to do, move them side to side, and then move them down. That's easy. So, one thing we've got to do, is if we look at our script, is we've got to make sure they're called enemy. But then that's a bit bad, because then we have to rename every single one called enemy. And so we can have like 500, I don't know, my maths is so bad. Probably about 100 enemies. So instead of name, I'm going to change it to tag. So if the tag of the enemy equals enemy, then kill it. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to type in my search bar alien, and for every single alien it returns, all of them. How many is there? Does it say? No, it doesn't. Damn. But I'm going to click tag up here, and I'm going to click add tag, and I'm simply going to type in enemy, just like that. So then they're all going to be called enemy now, tag wise. Actually, no, they're not. I forgot to assign it. So back up again, alien. I'm going to select all of them, and then tag it as enemy, like so. So now when we click play, we should be able to start destroying them. Easy enough, all we need is a score and everything. How did I miss every single one? Again. Right, I've just noticed what's wrong. I can see it straight from here. If we look at them, then look at where that was awful. Look at where our player is, it's in the wrong position again. Done it again. So I'm going to set both our walls, because that's really annoying now. All of them, and I'm going to untick mesh renderer so we can actually see. So we need the rows and the player to be on the same row pretty much. So I'm going to grab them all and I'm going to drag them back, and I'm literally just going to make sure it's on top of the player. So on the Z axis it needs to be 5.1, so all of these need to be 5.1. So the bullet comes up, the bullet's thick, so it hit multiple ones. Well, it shouldn't, but still. Oh, there we go, much better. So as you can see, we've still got an error. The error is because they've not got box colliders on either. How do I keep making so many errors? But yeah. So we're going to type in alien again, and I'm going to select every single one. And I'm going to go add component, box, collider. And now you can see every single one's got box collider. Now it should work. They've got box colliders, they're in the right zone, so if it doesn't work, pop. There we go. So obviously the size is an issue again. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is go through every single one and resize it again. Fun. But yeah, in fact I might keep it like that, I don't know. But yeah, there you go. You can see it's added it. Now all we need them to do is move. So, we're going to work on the aliens because it's easier. So, first thing we're going to do is actually make the aliens go left to right. So ding, 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 ding. And when they hit one of the edges, I'm going to put these back because it just makes it easier. So when they hit one of these, it needs to tell every single alien to stop and then go the other way. So it's really simple to do. So we're going to go to our scripts folder. And when I can find it, here, and Space Invaders, I'm going to right click, create, JavaScript, SI_enemy. And this enemy will contain everything, to collisions to movement. So alien, I'm going to grab every single one, and I'm going to put enemy on it. Just like that. Tick. Perfect. So we're still going for the one-shot kill. We've definitely still got to go for that. So I'm going to open up enemy. And I'm going to put a static variable, which means it's public, but there's only one of them. So I'm going to type static var, so the aura revolve around this one, go left. And it'll be a boolean, which is a true or false, logic gates, binary, stuff like that. And it'll equal false. So go left is false. If it's false, they move right. If it's true, they move left. Simple. So, yeah. So we're going to, in here, is type if go left, and I'm just going to leave it like that. So if go left is true, pretty much, I'm going to type transform.position.x, and I believe it's minus. Yeah, minus equals, and then we'll say 5 times time.delta time. So what that'll do is move them on the x-axis. So if we look at our characters, so we'll grab row 1 on the x-axis, minus 5, and it'll just keep going. But what we have got to tell them is if they hit any of them boundaries to turn back. So we can have, there's two types of boundaries we can hit. We can use a trigger, or we can use a collider. And now the thing is with a collider, if these are all colliders and the walls are colliders, when it hits them, it'll take them like a couple of seconds to hit it. So it'll adjust the space just a milli bit. But then after a while, the space will start becoming noticeable. So what I'm actually going to do is select all our aliens again and set them all to triggers. Now you may be thinking, well, the bullet will go straight through them now. That's true, but remember what I said, it'll hit a trigger, or if a trigger hits another trigger, it still works. So then they'll be able to go through the wall. I know that's a bad thing, but then what happens if we put an on trigger onto the character? Not the character, here. So I'm going to type function on trigger, enter, bracket, and I'm going to put call collider again, and I'm going to type if call.gameObject.name equals, then we need to type the wall. So the left wall's name is left wall. That was pretty obvious. And then in here, I missed my bracket because I always do. And in here, I'm going to simply put go left equals false. So if they hit the left wall, it means they're going left. So then left wall needs to be false. And then here, we put else, and then we put transform.position minus equals 5, but we put plus. So now they're going right. So if it goes left true, which it's not, so it'll be going right, so it'll go ding 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 ding, then we need to say if you hit the right wall. So else, if it hits right wall, then turn go left true. If it's true, they'll go left. If they hit the left wall, it'll turn it false to go right. And it'll keep going ding 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 ding. Really simple. So but what we have got to do is actually make them move down. All of them. So how do we do that? It's really, really simple. But we'd better test the movement first, just to make sure. So we click it and they should begin moving left, hopefully. And hopefully not too fast either. Because if it's too fast then we have to slow it down massively, but still. So let's see. Well, that failed miserably, so let's try again. So the reason that it's not working when they hit it is very, very simple. All we're going to do is select all our aliens again, and we're going to attach a rigid body to every single one. Rigid body. Yeah, make sure it's all of them. And I'm going to turn gravity off. And the reason it's got to be a rigid body is because on trigger enter only works with 2 triggers if one of them's got a rigid body, and the wall and the aliens, none of them had rigid bodies, whereas our bullet has a rigid body. As you can see now, dink, dink. Perfect. Perfect. So, what I'm actually going to do for our speed is actually call it speed, and I'm going to insert a variable called speed. So, var speed int equals 5. In fact, I'm going to make it 3, so it goes dud 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 dud. And then as more die, they speed up. And then as more and more die, it speeds up again. Then more and more die, more die, more die. You get the point. So they all speed up. Just remove these brackets to save room. And again, just saving some room here. Yes. So we've got all that. That all works. So now we need to record the player's score, because we need to replace player's score. Simple. So down here, I'm going to right click, create JavaScript, and I'm going to call it SI for Space Invaders underscore stats. Yeah, that'll do. And I'll assign this to the main camera. And all this is going to do is show the on-screen fonts and everything, basically. So I downloaded a font, which I'll show you in a minute. So the font I've got is, if we go to textures and fonts, where is it? Here. I got a Space Invaders font. So we'll go into it and click one of them, and you see we can't see it, but we will see it when we use it. But basically, I went to Google, typed in Space Invaders font, and got this one. So now we can make it look identical to it. So the first one we need is score. Obviously, we need to have the score on. High score will not. I don't know if we'll do it today or not, but we will look into it. So if I go back to Unity here, I'm going to open up our script, our stat script, and I'm going to begin creating a new GUI. So if you've known my other tutorials, you know how to do this. If not, just follow along. You can learn in the future, but because this is just trying to get straight through. So I'm going to type var style, and it'll be a GUI skin. So we need to create a skin to store our font, hopefully. So I'm going to go back and on the main camera, I'm going to attach our Space Invaders to it when it allows us to. There. Oh, we need to create a GUI skin, silly me. So in fonts, I'm just going to do it. I've got a skins folder. I know we've got a skins folder. So inside HUD and skins, I'm going to right click, create, and GUI skin, Space Invaders. So on here, I'm going to go to the label, I'm going to leave it as normal. Hover colour, I'm going to set it to green. So if you look at the online thing, it's white. How could I mess that up? So okay, it's white then. We don't need to hover colour, so you can just get rid of that. Set it to white, yep. And for the font, I'm going to set it to Space Invaders. Oh, I'm dragging the wrong one on again. There, yep. So change the font size to around about 12, and then when we use it, it should work. If not, we'll have to change a couple of things. But if you look at all these ones, they are dynamic. So let's go to this, and yep, it's all right. So it should hopefully work. So I'll set it to 30 just so it's the same. Apply, it should apply it. And then on our main camera, we attach our GUI skin, just like so. And then on here, we'll type on GUI to our function. Yep, and then I'm going to type, just for a test, GUI.label, and this will be a rect, and let's see, so we'll say 10 across, 20 down, and we'll say its x-axis, we'll say 200, so it's got lots to fit on, and then we'll also say 50 down, and then for it, we'll say score, in fact it's all capitals, score, hashtag, yep. Well, it's not hashtag, I don't know what that is. But yeah, so we do that and it should hopefully work. But we've got to actually attach our style. So right here above everything, I'm just going to type GUI.skin equals style. And that should now attach and use the GUI skin we've provided, hopefully. So that'll work, so let's click play, and if it doesn't look right, we have to keep doing it. It doesn't know what GUI is because it's GUI. Capital letters. So we're coming up to an hour now, so hopefully we can get some progress done later. We might have to split this up into two, I'm not sure. It's going to be a longish tutorial. Ah, perfect, look at that. So let's see if we can increase the size of it, hey? So we'll find our house, Space Invaders. Let's turn it up. There we go, score. So, 35 seems to be a good number. So, oh, okay, save it then. So let's see again, where are we? So we need score, we want a high score to be here, whatever your score is, then we want a bracket after it. So I'm going to move it in by 20, so they're both 2020. And above here, I'm going to type static var, and then we'll type, in fact, I'll just put var, it's easier. And put var score, in fact current score, and it'll be an integer equal to 0. So score plus current score dot to string, to convert it to a string so it can store it. So does it have a space between it? Yes, so it's space number space n. So put a space in because I want it to be identical because it's very good. Then there. So score. That's it. Pretty much. All we've got to do is add to the score now. So current score. So I'm going to go back to bullet colliders here. So if it's an enemy, it destroys it, correct? But then let's increase our score. So I'm going to type GameObject.find main camera dot get component Space Invaders underscore stats dot get current score plus equals, and I think it's 250. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to keep it as 250, so every time we kill an alien, it'll boost up, pretty much. So we click play, and we should have an effective scoring system. Oh dear, so as you can see, our width needs to be increased on our label, because you can't see it. So if we go back to SI stats, and set the width to 1000. So I know it'll stretch all the way across our screen, but it'll only fit the words on. We might have to change the length of the font down. But when we shoot now, you should be able to see it go up every time we hit an alien. Look at that. So as you can see, we've got points. Perfect. So, how do we know when we actually beat the game? We need to find how many aliens we've killed. Now there's two ways we can do this. We can either say if every single alien is killed, well that's what we've got to do, but we can either run a for loop to find every alien, we can add them to tags, we can have an integer which stores the maximum length of aliens and every time one's hit it takes it down. We could look at the score. There's many things we can do, but the way I'm going to do it is the integer method. It's really simple. So on current score I'm going to duplicate it and I'm going to call it here current enemies. And how many enemies do we have? We need to find out. So there's 11 here. 11 times 2 is 22, is 55. So we're going to on here type current enemies equals 55. And then all we're going to do is every time we hit an enemy, take it down. So duplicate this, current enemy, enemies, minus equals 1. So it'll take it down, tick, 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 tick. And then in here we're going to type function update, and then we're going to put if current enemies, what should we put? Current enemies equals 0, so if it does literally equal 0, then we need to win the game. So print you win. We'll do that probably another time or later. So print you win, that's where you win. You do whatever you do to win, pretty much. So let's try it. So every time you hit an enemy it should go ding 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 ding. And this could take a while, so I'm going to show you a little cheat. What's amazing. So obviously it says 50 on current enemies and it's saying we win, which is not right. So reset your SI stats so it says the correct amount, 55. So you see we don't win at the moment. We shoot an enemy, it doesn't do anything. If we take it down every time we shoot one, you see it takes it down. So if we set this to 2, 1, 2, we win! Well done, you've won Space Invaders. Obviously you haven't because there's loads there. And it's sent to remove our skin, so stick our skin back on. So we've now got a hit, pretty much, it works. So what's left to do? We've got quite a bit left to do. If we look at this one, we've got high score to do, which we're not going to do at the moment. I'm going to clear what them twos are there. We've got lives and we've got credits. Now all of those, except high score, pretty much equal the enemy shooting us. So we need the enemy to shoot us, pretty much. So I'm going to use the same kind of principles for the enemy as what we've done for our character. So I'm going to close all these and I'm going to go to our resources folder and drag bullet out, but I'm going to change it. So I'm going to find mesh renderer and get bullet, and I'm going to duplicate it and call it enemy bullet. And I'm going to tint it white. I know it's white. It'll look cool red though, don't you think? I might do it red. Let's be different, do it red, because red looks cool as a bullet. And I'll drag it onto there, and you will see, hopefully, it doesn't ruin the original bullet, as you can see. So now I can get this bullet, and we can rename it to enemy bullet. Drag it down and stick it in Space Invaders. So we've now got an enemy bullet, pretty much. So when that hits the enemies, it shouldn't kill them. But what I'm going to do is resize it that little bit, just so it's not as good as ours. So that's their bullet, pretty much. Really simple. Drag it back down, make sure it's saved. So we need to somehow make the enemies fire. Bing, bing. So the easiest way to do this would be to create a timer, so it waits for a little bit, and then ever so often it will randomise saying will it hit them, yes or no. So it's really simple again. So we're going to go to our enemies here, and I'm going to type private var timer int equals 3 300. Yeah, that'll do. And in function update here, I'm going to type timer minus equals 1. So every time it loops, timer is going down, 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 down. So I'm going to put if timer is less than 2. Then that means the enemy should randomize to fire or not. So we need them to fire pretty much, but not yet. We want to see if they'll fire, because otherwise every single one will fire all at once and you're going to die quickly. So we need it to randomize. Really easy to do. So var random equals random.range. So we'll say between 0 and 4. Yeah. So we'll say if, well, we need an integer first to store the random num. So var num chosen equals random num. So if num chosen equals 2. So if it actually equals 2, then fire. Otherwise, do nothing, pretty much. So you've got to get 2. So not every Space Invader is going to fire, but some may fire at the same time, some may not. I don't know the exact random.range for Space Invaders, the actual game, but that should be pretty much right. So timer equals 300. Then it's reset. So it'll come down, reset, try again. Reset, try again. And it'll keep doing that. So let's fire. So up here, I'm going to type var enemy bullet game object. So we are going to have to assign this to every one, but we've got a quick technique, so we're all good. So in here, I'm going to type enemy bullet, well, not enemy bullet, I'm going to type var fire bullet equals instantiate bracket enemy bullet. Then we need transform.position, which will attach it to whatever ship's firing, because these scripts are attached to each enemy. So say ship 1 fires, it'll spawn from ship 1 down. But we have got to make it go down, otherwise it won't work. So obviously. So transform.position quaternion.identity. Just like that. Now let's go and play with its rigid body. So just like we did, fire bullet dot rigid body. And just like we did, we'll put dot add force. And now we need it to go down. Now there's two ways you can do this. You can use gravity, or you can use add force, but minus add force. So it's really simple. So just put a minus and type transform dot vector 3. Wait, no, that's wrong. Minus vector 3 dot up. So that's minus, so minus up is down, because there isn't actually a down. So you put minus vector up, because the opposite to up is down. Easy. And then we put times, and then I believe our bullet was 500. So when that fires, it should fire down. Easy. So all we've got to do is check whether it hits our character, then if it does, take off his life. If not, it'll just keep going down. So we've got to make sure every single one of these aliens has it attached. So this alien needs to go back to number 1. So alien, get every single one, and you can see it needs enemy bullet. There you go, have enemy bullet. Now let's see which ones fire. So let's hope more than one fires, otherwise we'll get a glitch and it won't be very good. So the timer's ticking down. Oh dear. So as you can see, it did work, but it's hitting every single enemy and they're killing themselves. So on enemy bullet, remove SI bullet colliders. In fact, keep it on, we'll change something. So up here on trigger enter, just simply type if game object.name equals bullet clone. So if it equals bullet clone, then it can destroy enemies. We all know that. But then below it, put else if game object.name equals bullet clone enemy bullet clone, which I think is the correct one. Yep. There. Then below we can put then when it hits the player. So grab this, if gameObject.name equals player, then we can kill the player. So destroy gameObject, so it'll destroy itself, and then print player loses life. Just like that. So let's go and try it. So when it does fire, it won't hit itself because it's not called enemy bullet, but it will hit the player if it is called enemy bullet. So it will constantly be detecting which is which. So let's see. So the bullet time's ticking down, and then you should see, oh dear, Well, we've got hard mode at the moment. Is it going to do it again? Oh dear, look at that. We've got very good hard mode. So as you can see, it is firing at you, but they seem to have moved back. But yeah, so it's working fine now. Bullet, is it done it for this one? Yes, so it is working, kind of. We need to put the brackets on, that's why. Put the end brackets on and that should work. Right, so back to enemy here. So every time it does, instead of 0 to 4, let's do it a bit more realistic. So 0 to 55. So only number 2 is going to fire, so it'll randomise. So it's very, very slim chance one's going to fire, but one should definitely fire, because it was far too rapid then. So we're going to try one last time, and if it doesn't work, it should work. I know it should work. So let's try shooting them first. Clink. Right, we still work. Now when they shoot us, their bullets should just destroy. Fire. So as you can see, it's better, but it might need to be a bit faster, because there's no chance I can even get hit. Come on, hit me. Hit me. Reference what film that is. Hit me already. But yeah. So let's see. Come on, fire. Okay, it's not deciding to fire. Let's speed it up again. So we're going to say 20 this time. And I'm not going to test it again. What I am going to do is come down and set the left wall, right wall and top wall, all their mesh colliders or mesh renderers off. So now we should have a real looking space game. There we are. Dink. We have Space Invaders. Ding ding. So the bullets did do it, the players just lost a life. So now we've got to literally put what the player's life is. So if we go and look at the proper Space Invaders, it currently has 3 ships. So all I'm going to do is this 3 one down here, for now. I don't actually have an image of the text yet, but we will soon. So on SI start, on here, I'm going to duplicate this label, and I'm going to put 3. That's it. In fact, instead of 3, I'm going to put current health. 2 string. Current health at 2 string. And this is going to be here, current health, int 3. So it'll print 3 over and over and over and over again. 750 down. So every time it hits us, it needs to take current health away. We've already got all that score, so we can do it really easily. So I'm going to go back to bullet colliders, and I'm going to put it here so we don't lose it. And I'm going to grab this line and paste it here. So GameObject.find, main camera, .get component SI starts .current health minus equals 1. Easy enough. And then back into our SI starts here. If current health equals 0, so if we've died, in fact, well, yeah, 0, then we need to print you lose. Print you lose. Perfect. Obviously we could implement the credits feature and stuff, but I'm not going to. So that we've pretty much done now. All we need it to do is say we need a win screen, a lose screen, and that's it. So as you can see, 3 is a terrible one. Well, 750. So we'll say 700 and try again. So 3 is in the perfect location now. So come on, shoot me. Ah, missed it. So I'm trying to win, obviously. Oh my god. I apologise for anyone who's religious. I do that. So hit me. Yes, it got me. But yes, so if we can get hit 2 more times, it should print you lose. But this is hard. And for your hard difficulty, if you want to implement difficulties, you could simply just amp up the fire rate. Easy enough. And then the speed, boom, you lose. Perfect. So what's left? We've got houses, high scores and stuff like that. But this is the basics of Space Invaders is done. That's all we're going to do today. There's a lot done, more than any other tutorial. I've never made an hour's tutorial before, but I did it for you too. All-in-one Space Invaders tutorial right here, nearly all in one. So, one thing last I'm going to do is type in destroy game object. So if you die, then you're going to die. So I'm going to type current health equals that. So it's going to destroy the character, and it's going to be gone. Not that. GameObject.find player. There we go. So it'll destroy the player, and then that's it. It's gone. I'm going to set current health to equals -1. So it doesn't equal 0 anymore, so it'll kill the player, then stop. So you're dead. Really simple. One last thing I'm going to do before I finish is literally amp up the thing again. So 12. So it's firing more rapidly, and we're going to say this is easy because then it was too fast. So bink, bink. So we've got more sounds to implement, but we're nearly done. So they should fire more rapidly, and then we need it to destroy our character. Then I'll end the tutorial. Ding, ding, boom. We're dead. Perfect. So you need a load screen and win screen. You can do that all yourself. I will do a tutorial next time. Thank you for watching. I really hope you liked it. Everything, absolutely everything about the tutorials in the description below. Sounds, models, everything is going to be all there. Scripts are going to be below there too, so I hope you use them. Thank you for watching. I really hope you liked it. Please join my Facebook group if you did like it. To any newcomers, thank you for watching. I really hope I impressed you. If not, leave me a comment to tell me why I didn't. Thank you for watching, and